What if I told you that you could invest in property and pay no tax on the rental income? And if you sell a property, you pay no capital gains tax either. Sounds good, right? Well, let me show you how. Hi, I'm Kevin Elliott. I'm a certified financial planner based here in Ireland. I help clients grow their wealth. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how you can buy property using your pension, the structures you need, the rules you must follow, and I'm going to show you one real client example to show you what's possible. Let's dive in. Property is one of the most familiar and trusted investments out there. And when you hold it inside your pension wrapper, the benefits are amplified. Here is why it's so powerful. Number one, the rental income is tax-free inside your pension. This means no income tax, no USC, and no PRSA. Every single euro goes straight into growing your fund. Number two, if you sell a property, you pay no capital gains tax. That's right, zero. Number three, it gives you a real, tangible diversification. You're not in stocks or bonds or a fund. You're simply in bricks and mortar. Number four, it can form part of your retirement income strategy. Long-term rental income from a property can be used to support you when you draw down your pension later on. Are you thinking about using your pension to invest in property? Well, before you dive in, it's worth having a quick chat. Everyone's situation is different, from how much you've saved to the type of pension that you have. Well, I offer a short, no obligation call just to help you understand if this strategy is realistic and right for you. You'll find a booking link in the description below. So whether you're self-employed or a company director, or you simply just want to take more control of your pension, let's explore your options. Let me walk you through a real-life example from a client that I help. We'll call him John. John runs a successful construction company in the west of Ireland. He's a property developer and he knows the game inside out. From planning, building costs, yields, and margins, he has it all nailed down. But when it came to pensions, he's always been skeptical. Stocks and bonds, well, they didn't really feel real enough for him. They're too far removed from what he understood. Well, in addition, the problem? John's in his mid-50s and he's underfunded his pension to date. Everything he had earned had gone back into the business to help it grow. When we first spoke, he had less than 50,000 euro in his pension. So here's what we did. We first set up an executive pension through his company. This allowed him to take a one-time corporation tax deductible contribution. After working this out with his accountant, we agreed a large catch-up payment. Within a year, John had built up over 300,000 euro in his pension. From there, we transferred it to a small self-administered scheme, or a SSAS. That gave him full control and access to direct property investment. Now, naturally, John wanted to buy a site in Galway, build a few rental properties, run the construction through his company. But here's where we had to pump on the brakes. Revenue's arm's length rules are very clear. You can't build it yourself. You can't buy from anyone you're connected to, and you can't benefit personally from the project. No flips, no shortcuts, no favorable deals. That was a wake-up moment for John. So instead, he bought a turnkey apartment in Galway City, already tenanted, and was fully managed by a letting company. The numbers made sense. The purchase price was 275,000 euro. The legal and trust fees were around 12,000, and the rental income was around 1,500 euro per month, all tax-free inside his pension. We kept 15,000 euro cash inside the scheme to meet the liquidity rules, so his gross yield is around 6.5%. Now John has a solid pension asset, he knows the market, he's staying 100% compliant. In his own words, it's the best of both worlds. He understands property and there's no revenue headaches. So how do you actually do this? Here is a simple step-by-step guide to buying a property through your pension. Step number one is to make sure you have the right type of pension. That could be a PRSA, an approved retirement fund, or a SSAS, which is a small self-administered scheme. If you're in a standard company pension or defined benefit plan, it's likely that you need to transfer it into one of these flexible structures first. Step number two is to work with a pensioner trustee. This is essential. You can't go property shopping on your own. Revenue requires a trustee to oversee the scheme and keep everything compliant. Step three is to build the pension pot. Property isn't cheap, and this strategy typically only makes sense if you've got a minimum of 200,000 euro or more in your pension. Why? Because you'll need room for fees, legal costs, and a cash buffer for revenue liquidity rules. Step number four is keep some cash back. You cannot invest every single euro because revenue requires you hold between 5 to 10% cash inside the fund at all times. So if you've got 300,000 euro, you can spend about 270,000 to 285 on the property. Step 5, if your pension is an occupational scheme, check the IRP2 limits. You can't have more than 50% in unregulated assets, which includes property. Note that this rule does not apply to PRSAs or an ARF. Step 6, find an arm's length property. That means no buying from family, no renting out to yourself or relatives, no holiday homes, no sites for development or flipping, just a clean, independent investment. Step number 7, close the deal through your trustee. The property must be held in the name of the pension scheme. Rental income must go directly into the pension account, and management should be held by a third party. Follow these steps and you'll stay compliant, tax efficient, and in control. Now let's talk about what you can and can't actually buy with your pension. First up, let's look at what is allowed. So you can buy a residential property, you can buy a commercial property. It can be in your own name via the pension or as part of a group of investments with others. You can lease it out to a local authority for long-term rental income, and you can also refurbish or upgrade the property as long as the costs are covered by the pension and managed independently. Sounds great so far, right? But here's where people get caught out. There are a lot of restrictions. You cannot buy your own home. You cannot buy a holiday home, even if you swear it's just an investment. You cannot buy a property and rent it to yourself, your family, your business, or anyone connected to you. You cannot buy from a connected person, so this includes family or business partners, or even a friend in some cases. You cannot flip the property. Revenue requires long-term holding and income generation, not short-term trading or development. You also can't build the property yourself, even if you're a developer and even if you own the land and you think it's just logical. Remember our example earlier, John? Well, he wanted to build something from scratch using his own construction company, but we had to say no. The arm's length rule means no self-dealing. Instead, he bought a completed, fully let apartment from an unrelated seller, managed by a letting agent. Revenue approved it, the trustees approved it, and John still got property in his pension. Stick to the rules and you'll avoid trouble and tax penalties down the line. So here's a question that I get. Can you borrow to help you buy property? The answer is yes, but there are very strict rules. First, not all pension types allow borrowing. It typically needs to be a small self-administered scheme or a PRSA. These give you the flexibility needed for property investment. Now, the borrowing must be non-recourse. This means if the loan can't be repaid, the lender can only go after the property. That means they cannot touch your personal finances or any company assets. Also, your pension fund must show that it can handle the repayments, not just by hoping for rental income. You need to have real cash flow or contributions in place to support the loan. Most lenders will cap the loan at about 50 to 60% of the property value. So if you're buying a €400,000 property, you'll typically need about €200,000 already in your pension. All borrowings must be arranged and approved through your pensioner trustee. No deals with connected people, no shortcuts, everything must follow the pension investment rules. It is a powerful tool, but it adds complexity and risk. That's why it's vital to run the numbers carefully and stress test your plan. Let's say that you're ready to go. You've got the pension pot, you want to buy a property. Well, which structure is better? The SSAS or the PRSA? Let's break them down. A SSAS, or small self-administered scheme, is ideal for company directors. It gives you much more control. You can choose the property, approve the deal, and steer your own investment strategy. You also have flexibility to contribute large amounts via your company, and a SSAS allows for borrowing, as we discussed earlier. Now, the trade-off with a SSAS is it is more work to set up. You'll need a pensioner trustee, and you will be responsible for staying compliant. Now, a PRSA, or a personal retirement savings account, is more flexible for most individuals. It is not tied to a company and anyone can open one, including those who are self-employed. PRSA is also exempt from IRP2, which means fewer restrictions on property investment. But PRSAs can be more limited when it comes to borrowing, and you may not have quite the same level of investment control as a SSAS. So which one is better for you? Well, it depends. If you're a company director with profits to shelter and you want full control, go with the SSAS. If you're self-employed but prefer simplicity, a PRSA may be the way to go. Either way, both can work beautifully for pension property investment, as long as you follow the rules and get the right advice from the start. So what happens when you retire and your pension owns a property? You built the asset, it's generating rental income, it's now time to take the money out for yourself. But first, here's the good news. You can take up to 25% of your pension pot tax-free. That is a lump sum straight into your bank account. No income tax, no MSc or no PRSI. So let's say your pension is worth 400,000 euro. You can draw down 100,000 euro completely tax-free, and the remaining 300,000 stays invested. What happens with the balance? Well, it usually goes into an ARF, which is an approved retirement fund, and an ARF lets you keep the property, and any rental income continues to be paid into the fund tax-free. Now, revenue expects you to draw some income each year. Typically, that is 4% per annum once you turn 61, and it jumps to 5% from age 71, and it is more if your total fund is larger than 2 million euro. You could also choose to sell the property at retirement. If you do this, there is no capital gains tax, and the sale proceeds go into your ARF, and you can draw down your income from there at your own pace. Alternative to the ARF is that you could buy an annuity. That is a guaranteed income for life, but most of our clients prefer the ARF route for flexibility and greater control. Now, finally, what happens if you pass away? The remaining pension fund, including the property, can be passed to your spouse or your children, either as a lump sum or kept inside the ARF. Now, there may be tax implications depending on who receives it, but the assets stay within your estate. So, the pension property strategy doesn't just benefit you, it can become a legacy plan for the next generation too. So, is buying a property with your pension the right move for you? Well, the answer is maybe, but not always. It depends on a few key factors. 1, the size of your pension pot. 2, your risk appetite. 3, your investment experience. And 4, how close you are to retirement. If you value transparency, control, and tax efficiency, then yes, direct property investment could be a strong fit. But if you want low maintenance or maximum diversification, you may be better off with a more traditional pension approach. That's why it's so important to get good, tailored advice. If this is something that you're considering, I'd love to help you explore it further. Book a short, no obligation call with me. Just head to the link in the description below, and we'll look at your current setup and see what's realistically possible without any sales pitch. It could save you thousands of euro in fees. And if you're a company director or self-employed, listen up for 1 second. Did you know that your company can fund your pension and it could save you tens of thousands of euro in income tax while doing it? There's no benefit in kind, no personal income tax, just smart tax deductibles from your company going straight into your future. Watch the next video and I'll show you exactly how this works, including how I've helped one business owner contribute over 300,000 euro to pay zero tax on the way in and out. Tap the link to watch the video and learn how to turn your business profits into long-term personal wealth.